The upper Midwest has its own lingo, and if you're moving here, you might want to understand what the heck people are talking about. I mean, it's helpful. And hey, you can always throw some of these phrases out there if you're trying to fit in. My name is Schumann. I am a realtor here in Minneapolis, and I help people move here from all over the country and actually the world. I love to talk to people that find me on YouTube, so reach out if you have questions, comments, or just want to chat. Okay, there is a lot of decoding that happens for people when they are trying to assimilate to Minnesota, and I've been there. I'm not a native, and I had to learn the hard way what was happening around me. I just listened and tried to decode it and put it into context and hoped that I wasn't sticking my foot in my mouth. I also want to correct some stereotypes. Don't come here thinking you're going to hear people talk as if they walked off the set of Fargo, which is actually in North Dakota. I have yet to hear a native say the words "you betcha" without a bunch of sarcasm, and I really do enjoy sarcasm, but don't think you're going to hear "you betcha." There are actually quite a few of these little gems, and I was thinking about it and I just thought you might enjoy this. So I'm going to start with the most frequently heard ones, and there are a couple that you won't hear that often, but they are probably pretty important to staying alive here in the winter. So stick with me here. All right, number one, hot dish. This is Minnesota for casserole, usually entailing ground meat, some sort of condensed soup from a can, a vegetable, and if you're actually being true to the spirit of things, you're going to cover the entire top of it with tater tots, as is right with keeping the natural world in balance. Number two, sticking with the potluck theme, bars. These are not metal rods that make up a jail or a fence. If your typical Minnesotan mentions bars, they are talking about some sort of pastry baked in a 9 by 13 inch pan and cut into rectangles, and your answer should be, yes please. Number three, we say pop here. We do not say soda. And I lived in Atlanta, and when I lived there, it was always Coke. And then you had to stipulate which flavor of Coke. And we don't do that here either, so say pop. Number four, children may be playing Duck, Duck, Gray Duck. This is the same game that everyone else on the planet calls Duck, Duck, Goose. But there is likely no quicker way to point out that you are an outsider than using the word goose here. Number five is bag. Bag. This is a bag, sometimes also referred to as a sack here. Number six is ramp. This one wasn't intuitive to me at all. I don't know if there are other places that call a parking garage a ramp, but if someone here is referring to a ramp, this is pretty likely what they're talking about. It's a parking garage. Number seven is spendy. That means something that Minnesotans think is expensive or pricey. Number eight is that's different. You actually don't want to hear this one if you're looking for approval, because what this means is they do not approve. Another one along the same lines is, oh, interesting, and that means you're crazy. Number nine is oofda. This is an emotional outburst. This means that someone is showing extreme disgruntlement, like maybe they've slammed their finger in the door or something like that, or they're expressing some sympathy for you because something bad happened to you. Number 10 is warming house. These make me happy inside and outside because then I'm warm. They are typically temporary, but often permanent in parks, and what they are shelters that you go into to warm up, put your ice skates on or take them off. Parks in Minneapolis have actual buildings that are opened up to people that are right next to the frozen, flooded fields that we use for ice skating here. And sometimes you'll actually see temporary shelters that are set up next to lakes. Number 11 is up north. If you are moving from out of state, you're probably going to think that you are already up north just by being in Minnesota. Well, you're not. Up north here means north of Grand Rapids, Minnesota, although there is like a lot of argument amongst the natives about what exactly constitutes up north. So, just be careful with that one. 12 is Rambler, and this is Minnesotan for a ranch-style home, not someone that's out walking around. Number 13 is ice dam. You don't want to know about these due to your own personal experience. You'll be happier if you can just observe them on someone else's house, because they are thick layers of ice that form along the edge of the roof line, and you'll often see these beautiful icicles hanging down and think, that is so pretty. But in reality, that means that house is letting a lot of heat up into the attic, which is a no-no. The snow is melting and freezing in cycles. It's pretty, but you could end up with a leaky roof because of it, and that's no thank you. Number 14, ice in and ice out. Ice in means that there is ice covering the entirety of a lake, and ice out means that a portion of that lake is navigable by boat again because the ice cover has, They actually announced this on the radio for various lakes so that you know the status. I'm going to take this opportunity to let you know that every single year they pull some moron or just that moron's vehicle out of a lake because said moron decided to drive on it when the ice isn't thick enough. This is a really great way to die. I should post a video about how to save yourself if you fall through the ice, but instead, I'm just going to tell you, stay off the ice unless someone monitoring that ice has said that it is the right depth. We do have a lot of festivals and cross-country skiing on ice in the winter, and that can be a lot of fun. But I will say, like this year, they're moving a lot of that stuff to the shoreline because while we do have actual feet of snow covering everything, it has also been in the 30s quite often this winter, and that is disturbingly warm for Minnesota, and it's just not quite as safe as they want it to be. So number 15 is ice shanty or fish house. These are structures that people park on lakes so that they can sit in them and ice fish, and apparently this is fun, but I'm gonna pass. But I guess some of these places are actually quite luxe, or as luxe as it can get for a hut on a lake with a hole in the floor that you pull fish up through. So now you can pass for a native, and you're welcome.